Every single day, over 100,000 people cross it. Most of them never think twice, but the engineers who built it, the ones who know what's underneath, they think about it constantly. The Golden Gate Bridge is one of the most photographed structures on Earth. It's also one of the most quietly monitored, because beneath the beauty, beneath the cables, and the paint, and the fog, there is a problem that has been growing for decades, and the people responsible for fixing it are running out of time. It was 1937 when the Golden Gate Bridge first opened to the public. At the time, engineers called it a miracle of modern construction. Chief engineer Joseph Strauss stood on that bridge and told the world it would last forever. He was wrong, not because the bridge was poorly built. It wasn't. It was extraordinary for its time. But its time was nearly 90 years ago, and the Pacific Ocean doesn't care about history. Every single day, saltwater air eats into the steel cables that hold this structure together. Each one is under enormous tension. Each one is exposed to one of the most corrosive environments on the planet. In 2022, a team of structural engineers began a detailed internal inspection of the cables. They inserted tiny fiber optic sensors deep into the cable bundles. What they found was not in any press release. It was not announced at a city council meeting. It was shared quietly in a technical report, buried in 200 pages of engineering data. Some of those wire strands, the ones holding the entire bridge up, had already broken. Not bent, not weakened. Broken. The lead inspector, a man who had spent 30 years working on suspension bridges, later told a colleague he had never seen degradation at this level in a bridge still open to traffic. He recommended immediate action. The recommendation was noted, and then the bridge stayed open. Why? That question leads somewhere most people aren't ready to go. The Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District manages the bridge. They have a budget. They have engineers. They have maintenance crews working on it every single day. But maintaining a bridge of this size isn't like fixing a road. You can't just close the Golden Gate for repairs. Over 10 million vehicles cross it every year. It connects San Francisco to Marin County. Shutting it down, even for a week, would cost the region hundreds of millions of dollars. So decisions get complicated. In 2023, a senior bridge engineer named Robert Mallon submitted an internal memo to district officials. The memo outlined 3 critical cable sections showing accelerated wire fractures, faster than the previous inspection cycle had predicted. He didn't use vague language. He used numbers, percentages, load calculations. He estimated that under specific conditions, a major seismic event combined with high wind load, those cable sections could experience cascading failure. Cascading failure means one break triggers another, then another, then another. It's not a slow process. It happens in seconds. Mallon's memo was reviewed. Engineers discussed it internally. A follow-up inspection was scheduled. But here's the twist. That follow-up inspection was delayed. Not once, but twice. The first delay was budget-related. The second was listed as a scheduling conflict. The Hayward Fault alone is overdue for a major rupture. Geologists have been saying that for years. And the bridge? It's still open. Every hour. Every day. Then, in early 2024, something happened that changed the entire conversation. In January 2024, a 4.1 magnitude earthquake struck just south of San Francisco. Small by Bay Area standards. Barely made the news. But inside the Golden Gate Bridge Monitoring Center, alarms triggered. Not structural alarms. Sensor alarms. The fiber optic system installed in the cables detected unusual stress responses in 2 of the 4 main cable sections. The movement was within acceptable range, technically. But one engineer on duty that night, a man named David Carver, noticed something the automated system didn't flag. The stress response in cable section C had not returned to its baseline after the shaking stopped. That had never happened before in any recorded seismic event in the bridge's monitoring history. Carver documented it, filed a report, sent it up the chain. He got a response 3 days later. It said the anomaly was under review and that no immediate action was required. Carver didn't accept that. He reached out to Dr. Alan Forsyth, an independent structural engineer based in Seattle who had previously consulted for the Bridge District. Forsyth reviewed the data quietly, off the record. That process takes months, costs millions, and has never been done on the Golden Gate. Not once. in 87 years. Here's what makes that fact deeply uncomfortable. Most suspension bridges of this age have had at least partial cable dissection performed. The Golden Gate has not, which means there is a section of this bridge that no living engineer has ever actually seen, and something inside it may already be changing. Dr. Alan Forsyth didn't stay quiet for long. In March 2024, he submitted a formal letter to the California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, outlining his concerns about Cable Section C. He wasn't asking for panic. He was asking for a cable dissection study, a proper look inside. Caltrans acknowledged receipt of the letter. That was the last official response Forsyth received. But something else happened shortly after. A routine bridge maintenance crew working near the North Tower anchorage reported something to their site supervisor. On the inner anchorage wall, deep inside the concrete housing where the cables terminate, they found moisture seepage, not surface condensation. Active seepage, coming from behind the cable housing itself. Water and steel cables are a combination that engineers spend their entire careers trying to prevent. Because once water reaches the interior wire bundles, the corrosion process accelerates dramatically. The supervisor filed the report. It was logged as a minor maintenance observation. Minor. A veteran cable technician named Harris Webb, who had worked on suspension bridges for over 2 decades, reviewed that report independently. He said in a later interview that calling that finding minor was like calling smoke in an engine room a ventilation issue. Webb tried to escalate the concern through internal channels. He was told the matter was being handled. 3 months passed, then 4, then 6. No dissection study was approved. No emergency inspection was ordered. And then came the moment that reframed everything. In September 2024, a separate engineering team conducting a routine survey of the bridge's south anchorage made a discovery. They weren't looking for anything unusual, but what they found in that concrete. The south anchorage survey team found cracking, not surface cracking, not cosmetic. Deep longitudinal fractures running through the concrete base that holds the entire southern cable system in place. Anchorages are the most critical part of any suspension bridge. They are the fixed points that hold the tension of every single cable. If an anchorage fails, the cable releases. If the cable releases, the bridge deck follows. The survey team leader, a structural engineer named Paul Greer, immediately halted the survey and contacted the district directly. This time, the response was different. Within 48 hours, a closed-door meeting was held between bridge district officials, Caltrans representatives, and a federal infrastructure liaison from Washington. No public statement was issued, but quietly, behind the scenes, something shifted. Emergency funding authorization, over $190 million, was fast-tracked through the district's capital improvement program. A full cable dissection and anchorage reinforcement project was greenlit. For the first time in the bridge's history, work began in late 2024. It is ongoing. The bridge remains open. Traffic continues. Most people crossing it have no idea what is happening beneath their feet. And here is the part that stays with you. Every major infrastructure failure in history, the Fern Hollow Bridge collapse, the I-35 Minneapolis disaster, the Genoa Morandi Bridge, was preceded by inspection reports that raised concerns, reports that were reviewed, noted, delayed. The Golden Gate is not failing today, but it has entered a phase that engineers call active intervention territory. That means the window between maintenance and emergency is no longer wide. It is narrow, and it is shrinking. The bridge will likely be saved. The work is underway. But the real question this story leaves behind is a harder one. How many other bridges across America are sitting in that same window with no Paul Greer, no David Carver, no Harris Webb pushing from the inside? How many reports are sitting unread right now? If that question concerns you, and it should, there is more where this came from. Subscribe, because the next story is already waiting.